Welcome to this masterclass series on anticipatory, cyber, and digital diplomacy for African diplomats. Brought to you by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nigeria. Today's distinguished speaker, Honourable Moctar Yedaly, Africa Region Director for the Global Forum for Cyber Expertise, GFCE. Former Minister, Digital Transformation and Innovation, Islamic Republic of Mauritania. Former Head, Information Society Division, African Union Commission. Together, we explore the future of diplomacy, powered by Consultancy Support Services, CS2, Limited.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Moctar Yedaly, and it is my honor to address you today on cyber diplomacy, a field that is fundamentally reshaping international relations. My experience in the ICT sector, combined with exchanges with fellow experts and diplomats around the world in Africa, has reinforced my conviction that diplomats now stand at the critical intersection of history, technology, and geopolitics. Allow me first to thank Abdul Hakim Adijola and the organizers for the opportunity to share my perspectives on the subject matters. The evolution of diplomacy from its modern foundations laid at the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648 has been built upon fundamental principles such as territorial integrity, non-interference, mutual recognition, and sovereign equality among states. These principles created a framework of international law characterized by predictability, accountability, and peaceful dispute resolution. They enabled global cooperation through established mechanisms for attribution, human rights protection, treaty observance, and peaceful conflict resolution. Today, however, these time-tested foundations face unprecedented challenges in the digital domain. The fundamental questions everybody is asking today need to be addressed by all of us is how to maintain these diplomatic principles in a cyberspace, a space or a realm that did not exist when these principles were first established. Conventional diplomacy operates within a framework of clear attribution. Physical acts, whether it is missile strikes or border incursions, can be traced to their sources through established means such as, for instance, satellite communications. In a cyberspace, however, attributions become exponentially more complex. A cyber attack may originate in one nation, traverse other servers in different countries, and use malware developed by third parties. These attacks may be executed by state actors non-state groups, hack activists, organizations, or criminal enterprises, either independently or with some degree of state support. This complexity creates a gray zone where aggressive actions happen without triggering traditional diplomatic or military responses. Even when technical evidence suggests a likely perpetrator, such evidence frequently fails to meet the threshold required for public attribution or legal accountability. Without confident attribution, any retaliatory or diplomatic actions become inherently and extremely risky. Traditional notions of territorial sovereignty face also fundamental challenges in cyberspace. Indeed, code, data, and disinformation do not respect national borders. This borderless nature of cyberspace enables unprecedented power for non-state actors, hackers, cyber mercenaries, and activists who operate with a total anonymity are rarely face accountability. This development poses critical questions about the application of international law in cyberspace and demands urgent development of confidence-building measures, CBMs, to prevent misunderstandings and manage risk through enhanced transparency, cooperation, and agreed operational rules. The application of established international laws, including the United Nations Charter and laws of armed conflicts, to the cyberspace remains largely uncertain. While these laws are presumed to apply, their practical implementation in the digital domain lacks clarity. This uncertainty is particularly problematic as the cyberspace becomes an increasingly contested domain of strategic competition. Africa faces unique challenges in the cyber domain. Despite increasing reliance on digital technologies and infrastructure, the continent produces virtually none of these resources. Instead, Africa imports complete technological solutions, often with foreign control and opaque contractual arrangements. The continent's internet traffic flows primarily through undersea cables, predominantly owned by US companies. This dependency renders Africa particularly vulnerable to external control and manipulations. In the intensifying technology competition between major powers, particularly the United States and China, Africa risks becoming a battleground. This competition extends beyond market control to encompass the setting of global standards, control of data, specifically how data flows, and strategic advantages that you can benefit or use for your dominance. African nations receive offers of turnkey solutions, but often without adequate attention to issues of technological dependency and unclear contractual obligations. The United Nations initiated a formal process to address cyberspace governance in 2004 with the establishment of the Group of Governmental Experts, GGE. The 2013 and 2015 GGE reports affirmed the application of international law to cyberspace, establishing a crucial legal continuity between physical world and digital world. But recognizing the GGE limitations in excluding many nations, particularly developing states, the United Nations established the more inclusive open-ended working group, OEWG, in 2019. This body aims to democratize cyber norms development and incorporate perspectives from the Global South. Despite increasing participations, Africa's engagements in these processes remain insufficient to effectively influence global outcomes. African states, including Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, and Egypt, for instance, have contributed individually, but the absence of coordinated African positions weakens the continent's collective voice. Limited technical capacity, inadequate legal infrastructure, and insufficient diplomatic specialization in cyber affairs further hamper effective engagement of Africa. These situations makes Africa becoming a passive recipient of externally developed rules that may not align with continent's realities, interests, or development goals. African states then must develop clear strategies and coordinate their position to ensure meaningful participation in shaping the global cyber framework. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation of diplomacy itself. Virtual meetings via platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and WebEx have become a standard for multilateral sessions, including those at the United Nations and African Union. This shift revealed both opportunities and vulnerabilities in the digital diplomacy. Digital engagements enables broader participation, accelerated communication, and reduces costs. However, it simultaneously raises critical security concerns about platform security, diplomatic privilege in cyberspace, jurisdictions over servers hosting sensitive negotiations, and protection from cyber intrusions. These considerations become particularly acute when national digital infrastructure is controlled by foreign entities. Digital infrastructure now constitutes a fundamental component of national security and sovereignty. Africa must approach this reality with a strategic focus on several key priorities. One, cyber expertise must become an integral to Africa's diplomat toolkit through comprehensive training programs, technical education, and specialized diplomatic tracks, combining traditional skills with digital literacy and cyber security knowledge. Two, increasingly, Africa's influence increases significantly through unified position. The continent required coordinated frameworks, regular consultation mechanisms, and shared principles to guide engagements in global governance. I mean cyber governance. Three, Africa must advocate for cyber norms that reflects all regions, not merely the technologically dominant. This includes pushing for inclusive processes, diverse representation, and frameworks addressing the unique challenges of a developing nation. 5. African nations must actively shape their digital futures rather than remaining passive technological recipients. This includes strategic control over data flows, infrastructure development, and technological standards. Understanding and addressing critical questions about undersea cables ownership, access rights, and operational continuity during crises become an essential for maintaining digital sovereignty. Cyber diplomacy represents not only future challenges, but represent reality that fundamentally alters how states interact while creating new opportunities for influence, innovation, and cooperation. Africa must move beyond mere participation to actively shaping global cyber agenda. The continent must intensify its engagement in multilateral platforms, develop national cyber strategies, train specialized diplomats, and build cross-sector coalition involving government, academia, and private enterprise. Continental initiatives such as the African Union Malabo Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection must receive robust support and harmonization with the global framework. Success requires Africa to speak with unique voice, grounded in shared values, guided by development priorities, and informed by comprehensive understanding of the evolving cyber landscape. Only through such coordinated engagement can Africa protect its digital sovereignty while contributing meaningfully to the global governance of cyberspace. The foundation of diplomacy, established centuries ago, sovereignty, non-interference, accountability, and peaceful dispute resolution remain relevant, but adaptations to the digital age is fundamentally required. Africa's active participation in this adaptation process is not merely desirable, but essential for a just and equitable global cyber order. Let's ensure that Africa not only has a seat at the table, but helps determine the agenda itself. Thank you for your kind attention.